Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1970 Winter Baseball Classic. Today we've got another semifinal game between Hollywood and Vancouver. Let's go look at the overall finals bracket here. And we do that, we found that Tucson did prevail 4-2 over New Orleans. So Tucson will go to the finals as a number 7 seed with a 14-7 record. And we have Vancouver Island and Hollywood on the other side, trying to get a seat in the finals. It opened up in Hollywood. After looking more closely at all these rosters, Hollywood really has the probably best roster of all these WBC tournament teams. And that sometimes is because cards are available for players drafted in 1970, whereas they would not be there for other teams. In the case of Hollywood, they've got Bobby Mercer's 71 card is in the league, Tony Oliva's 71, Dick Allen, of course, from 69, Bobby Bonds in 71. So those cards are all here because the 70 cards are around, and so they are in the league, whereas a lot of those great 70 players for other teams are not present on their roster. And, you know, Vancouver's best guys are Jim Northrup and maybe Darren Johnson. So Hollywood does have the advantage over most teams. And in game one, well-played game for finalists. You've got solo homer by Ken Boswell, and it's a 2-1 game. They get a solo homer in the ninth by Pat Kelly off the bench. 2-1, Hollywood gets the win, but it's well played. Then in game number 2 in Hollywood, it is an 8-1 game. It's close early. It is Bill Singer versus Chuck Dobson. Singer's card is up. He had a big 1969, so we're looking at his 70 card. It comes through. 8-1. This offense eventually gets a bat around in the 7th inning, and you're thinking, oh boy, we could be done here pretty quickly. So, series goes to Vancouver for games 3, 4, and 5, if necessary. And in game number 3, Vancouver is a plucky team, and they gotta win. They do it with speed. They have Pat Kelly, Sandy Alomar, Ed Stroud are all A or double A stealers. Larry Bowa is an A stealer. They get a guy in scoring position. A ground ball gets him a third, or he scores on a ground ball, scores on a sac fly or single. They got individual runs in 3 innings, while Dave Roberts, his 1970 card, pitched masterfully. However, Dave Roberts' card is already in the league in 72, I believe. In one of his future years, he's a lot better. But Vancouver does get a win, 4-0, to avoid the sweep. Then in game 4 in Vancouver, just too much for this Hollywood offense. And not a good pitching matchup. It's Louis Tiant in a down year versus Denny Mclean in a very down year, 1970. The pitchers' names are great, but their cards aren't particularly good. 5 runs early off of Mclean. They pull him after the 4th inning, hopefully because they're down 2-1 in the series and they got to get a win here. They get some singles, do the light-hitting Vancouver team make it close, 5-2. But then a homer by Bobby Bonds. Just too much firepower for Hollywood. They get the 10-2 win. They're now up 3-1 in this series. And we have a Game 5 in Vancouver. The big dark horse here. Favored Hollywood visits Vancouver in a Game 5. And it will be a reprise of the Game 1 starters. Jim Rooker for Hollywood. Fergie Jenkins. And I'm going to call this the best card of the 20 cards here. It's Fergie Jenkins, starter 9 card in 1970. They need him to get this win here to keep the series going. Let's get started from Vancouver Island, Victoria. Bobby Mercer leads off for Hollywood. 47 is a K. Paul Shaw, 56, double 1-4, it's a base hit. Tony Oliva, 2-2, is a double play, 6-4-3. Cleo James, 58, sky's the center. Sandy Alomar, 57K. Ed Stroud, 68. Single 1-4, he gets it. Ace Stealer, they are aggressive on the bases. French has got a -1 arm. He is safe. Darren Johnson, 39 is a walk. 2 on for Jim Northrup, 311 is a K. We go to the second. Dick Allen, 55, 111-6 is a double. Bobby Bonds, 58 is a K. Ken Boswell, third X. This is Wirt at third base. Defensive guy, 2E21. Makes the play. With 2 outs, Doug Rader, 59, short X. Boa, 2E16 at short, makes the play. Carl Taylor, 110, is a single. Boa's going to try hit and run with a C stealer on the bases. Fielder's choice. All right. Well, Boa's not going to try to steal a base. And he's out stealing. So that's not working. Don Wirt, 35, flies left. We go to the third. Jim French, 4-4, flies left. Schofield rolls a second. And Bobby Mercer, 46, single 1-9, base hit. B stealer. Gibson with a +2 arm, and Hollywood's going to try a stolen base, and he's in there. The T rating of Gibson is 1/15, and it was a 14 for T rating there, so he'll be at third base after the throw goes into center field. Paul Shaw, runner at third, 2 outs, 6-10 off of Fergie, third X, 2E21 at third base makes the play. All right, bottom of the third, Russ Gibson, 2-5. Short. Cleo James, 68 is a walk. B stealer. Let's do another hit and run with Alomar this time. Runner has to steal with a roll of a 7, and runner rolls a 6 and steals second base. So now Alomar, the runner in scoring position, will hit away. 3-6, skies a center. And with 2 outs, Ed Stroud, 38 is a K. So Vancouver's had chances to manufacture some runs, but it hasn't worked out. We go to the fourth. Tony Oliva, 38, skies a center. Dick Allen, 67 Ks. Bobby Bonds, 1-9, is a single to right field. He is a double-A stealer. He'll take off, and he's in second base. For Boswell with 2 outs. 48 off of Fergie is a strikeout. Fergie Jenkins trying to will his team further along in the series. Darren Johnson, 67, is a walk. Jim Northrup, 34, is a 1-6-3 double play. Not a good look there for Jim. Carl Taylor, 1-8, is a walk. And Larry Boa, 5'11", right X. Great outfield defense. This is Tony Oliva, a 2E, high E rating though. Oliva's a 2E13. And he makes the grab. Quick moving game into the 5th inning. Doug Rader, 1-6K. Jim French, 65, center. Schofield, 6'10", center X. Ed Stroud is in center. He's a 3E3. And he makes a catch. Fergie Jenkins, Jim Rooker. And a pitching duel here. Don Wirt in the bottom of the 5th. 2-8, pops to short. Russ Gibson, 2-9, pops to first. Cleo James, 49. They finally hit the Rooker card. 4-9 is double 1-6. And that's going to be a base hit. B stealer trying to get in a scoring position with 2 outs, and he's out stealing. The second stolen base out. For home teams, you got to be thrown out 3 times before you take your car keys away and say you've had enough trying to steal bases. So they've had 2 guys gunned down. They have 1 more chance to steal a base left in the remaining 4 innings. Let's pause after 5 innings for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
We'll go to the 6th. Just clean H2O today, folks. Bobby Mercer leading off the 6th inning. 1-4 short. If you're just tuning in, I remind you that I show the 20 cards of the losing team at the end of the video, which is why I don't show cards during the game. Paul Shaw, 43, left X. That feature will return, of course, to the Summer League. I enjoy that a lot. Cleo James, 3E3 in center field. And that, look at that, a 2-base error on the E3 in center field. Not a timely moment for one of your 3 errors you made during that season. And Paul Shaw's at second base for Oliva, Allen, and Bonds. Here's Oliva, 55. Off of Fergie's card against the lefty. They found it finally. Homer 1-2 double. That is a double, and we have a run. It's 1-zip. Dick Allen having a monster tournament. 2-7 until today. He strikes out. And with 2 outs, Bobby Bonds, 2-5 is a K. A 1-0 game for Jim Rooker, who's a starter 6. Alomar, 44, third X. This is Doug Rader, a 1-19. Rounds out. Ed Stroud, 68. Single 1 of 4. Oh, he rolls a 5 and just misses it. Darren Johnson, 5-12. Skies of left field. What a pitcher stool we got. Fast game. Into the 7th. Ken Boswell, 2-7. Base hit. Doug Rader, 1-4. Pops the 3rd. Jim French, 39. Skies the center. And with 2 outs, Dick Schofield, 67 is a K. Stretch time here in Vancouver. Pitcher stool, 1-0 game. We've been listening to a few uneven rhymes, a tribute to Winter Hours. A band, I think they were from New Jersey, maybe. Nice compilation, other people playing the music of Winter Hours here, including the hits Churches is on this one. Let's see, Roadside Flowers was another hit off their stuff. Stay With Me is another one. But yeah, this is a nice little compilation here. If you're into Winter Hours, really cool band. Had some tragedy in their career. Okay, enough of that. Here we are, bottom of 7. Jim Rooker to Jim Northrup. 63, right X. Tony Oliva at 2E13 in right field. They need to get this error. They cannot. Carl Taylor, 1-5 is a walk. Boa, 39, pops the 2nd, and with 2 outs, Don Wirt, 6-10, catcher's card. French has a high E rating. They need to hit it. He's a 3E12. It's an E13. You see, so you have to plug the 12 in there, and now it's not an error. Not going Vancouver's way. Not getting the breaks they need to beat up on the superior Hollywood team, who's really not done much of anything. Just an RBI double after a 2-base error on an E3 center fielder. Fergie's a starter 9. He can go 10 if needed. Bobby Mercer, 312. Lomax. Shaw, 1-8. Short. And Tony Oliva, 67 is a K. Is there any defense to bring in? Not really, is there? Nope. 6 outs to get for Rooker, who's a starter 6, throwing a 1-2, 3 hitter. And they do have a nice bullpen. You know, Dick Hall is a setup guy in this version. He is not giving up a run in the tournament. Lindblad and Carroll to close games out. So Hollywood has a great bullpen, enough starting pitching. This would be a tough out in the Summer Carryover League. As you see, the talent is sprinkled around from a bunch of teams. Mercer's a Yankee, Oliva's a Twin, Dick Allen's a White Sox, Bobby Bonds a Giant, Singer's an Angel, Louis Tiant's on Cleveland, Jim Rooker's on Pittsburgh, Lindblad, Clay Carroll in Cincinnati. So they're all sprinkled around here on this really nice team. They'd be a good team in the Carryover League. But let's get to the bottom of 8. Russ Gibson, 2-8, pops to short. Cleo James, 110, pops to short. And Alomar, 37, not even close, strikes out. Nothing going on here in a 1-0 game in the 9th inning. Fergie Jenkins will come out for the 9th to face Dick Allen, 47's a K. Bobby Bonds, 2.5 K. And Ken Boswell, 1-6, skies to center field. A nice ovation for Fergie Jenkins by the folks in Victoria. I think, wasn't Fergie? I thought Fergie was from Canada. Not sure. I might be wrong about that. I thought he was born in Canada. but I might have my players mixed up. Anyway, bottom of the ninth, for Jim Rooker and Hollywood to somehow get out of this situation with a 1-0 win, you got the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Stroud, Johnson, and Northrup. You got Lindblad and Carroll. In a situation like this, I don't think I'm going to let Rooker lose the game. So if he puts a guy on in the ninth, I'm going to go to the pen here. He will face the lefty, Ed Stroud. 57 is a K. Wow. Now I got Darren Johnson. I'm going to look at the homers on Darren's card here. He has more homers against righties. So, Rooker will pitch to him. Darren Johnson. 66. Bouncer to short. Bad defense. Schofield, a 3 E48, and that's the best shortstop they have. A 3 E48. They got to get an error here or single, something. They get the single. All right, they got the tie run on, and it's Northrup, Taylor, Boa. Again, I'm going to pull the hook here on Rooker after 8 1/3, so he cannot lose the game. And I think I'm going to go Clay Carroll. I got Lindblad and Dick Hall behind him. So Clay Carroll will come on in the 9th inning. The tie run at first. Darren Johnson, not a threat to go anywhere. 8 runner to face Jim Northrup. Northrup's actually better against lefties too, so that's why Rooker was pulled. So Jim Northrup here, the winning run with 1 out in the 9th inning. The pitch to Jim Northrup. 35 is ball 4. That's a walk against righties and lefties. Now you have you have Carl Taylor with 2 on and 1 out. 1-8 is ball 4. Here comes the great Vancouver team. They've loaded the bases in the 9th inning. They got to bring it up for Larry Boa, a B bunter. I don't squeeze with anything other than an A. So the infield comes up with the bases loaded here. You roll a plus, it's a walk-off. So 2-run single. So Larry Boa with the infield up in a 1-0 game in the bottom of the 9th. The pitch to Larry Boa. 66 off of Clay Carroll. Double 1-2 single, and that is it. A walk-off single. And that gives Vancouver the win by getting the 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th as Clay Carroll has nothing. Gets nobody out and blows the lead. And we will have to go back to Hollywood. So it's a good story for Vancouver Island. They don't get eliminated in their own stadium here. Fergie Jenkins does get a complete game win as the team rallies for him in the bottom of the 9th. That run he allowed was unearned. He did not walk out. He did not walk a batter and struck out 11 in a complete game. Magnificent performance. Hollywood, their bats went to sleep. They were still trying to get that win, couldn't do it. It is Clay Carroll who takes the loss. Gives up a hit, a run, and 2 walks. And Jim Rooker was pulled. Unfortunately, he gets a no decision. Just 4 hits in that run in the 9th. Inherited runner. Did walk 5 and struck out 5. 1009 0108 1/3. 2516 011 75 75 011. So when you look at the number of players on base, Hollywood only had 6 on base against Jenkins. Whereas Vancouver, when you add the walks, they did put 12 men on base, so they kind of deserve to win this game. It is a 2-1 final, bringing some respectability back to this series as we go back to Hollywood for game 6 and 7 if necessary. At the end of the video, I will do the elimination video for the team that loses. And let's take a look at the stats of the tourney so far for each squad. With that win, Vancouver is now 12-7. Really have some nice stats though. They're hitting .271 with a .249 team ERA. We have Fergie's 4-3. Chuck Dobson is 3-1. Their leading hitter, Alamar's 29 for 79. Not a lot of power. Kind of just a steady team. A lot of stolen bases, though. Alomar has 9. Boa 6. Cleo James 2. Pat Kelly's got 9. And Ed Stroud's got 7. So This is the problem, is that you can steal to your heart's desire in a winter baseball classic because the catcher's arms are generally weaker. That strategy doesn't work in the carryover league, as everybody's got a -3, -2, -1 arm catcher, it seems, or they try and find guys specifically to do that. Hollywood is 13-7. They're hitting .278 with a .338 ERA. Doing it more with power. Dick Allen has 10 home runs in the 20 games and 21 RBI. Bobby Bonds has 14 stolen bases and 19 RBI. With 36 hits and 83 at-bats. He's magnificent, hitting .400. Bobby Bonds. And Bill Singer is 4-0. As we take a look at that card, trying to... the Angels have to choose, do they want Bill Singer more effective pitching on 4 days rest, or less effective but the ability to pitch on 3 days rest? They're going to have to decide that with different cards from the years of 70 to 73. The Singer card I've been playing in this tournament, it's 4-0, looks pretty darn good, except he only pitched like 113 innings, so he can't pitch on 3 days rest. You see in the bullpen, Dick Hall now has 15 shutout innings with just 6 hits, so Baltimore might just plug him into their bullpen again. And that's it today, as I will conclude this video with the elimination video. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you next time. Alright, baseball fans, it was Vancouver that could not get another win after the win you saw. They went to Hollywood and lost in 6. They lost the series 4-2. So we're going to take a look at these Vancouver players, the 20 of them, and see how they'll stack up as we move into the draft of the Summer Carryover League. Start by looking at the guys already carried on. Sandy Alomar, and when I say carried on, of course, I mean they got a card in either 71 or 72. That's better than these anyway. So Sandy Alomar with the Angels. Tom Bergmeyer with Florida expansion team. John Edwards with Houston as a catcher. Left-handed hitting catcher with power. Cleo James out of the Cubs system, but he ended up traded to the Twins, so the Twins have him in the corner outfield spot. Larry Boa with the Phillies. I believe they got him when he's a 1 at short, so that's why they didn't want him as a 2 here. And Darren Johnson's got a future monster year of home runs coming up. 27 of them here. I think he's got 30-some and 71 or 72 on the Phillies. Dave Roberts has a magnificent card, either 71 or 72 for the Padres. Outstanding, which should, when they get Randy Jones and Dave Roberts hurling at the same time, watch out for the Padres. And that takes us here. The first group of keepers. And Arizona expansion team got Chuck Dobson in the expansion draft away from Oakland. Now, of course, Chuck Dobson in 70 with Oakland wouldn't win anything. The A's don't win World Series until 72. This is a nice card. I'm looking at the stats. The .374 ERA and a 32 home runs aren't particularly good, but when I look at the card, it plays better than that if you can stay away from the long ball. Keep it in the yard. You want to frustrate your opponent with that single one line out and hope he misses a homer 1-8 there. If that happens, Dobson will fare pretty good as a starter 7 on 3 days rest for Arizona. Nice card. Alright, we got a nice era of Fergie Jenkins rapidly approaching his 300 innings years. He had 313 innings here, 22-game winner, but also through attrition he had a .339 ERA and gave up 30 home runs. The control is impeccable though. And of course the starter 9. So you can't ask him to keep the ball in the ballpark if you're pitching in Wrigley Field, I suppose. But for a starter 9 to dominate righties like that, you could take this Jenkins card. But all we'll need to do further examination of 71, 2, and 3. Obviously, if I didn't have those cards available, I'd definitely take this one. But I got to look at 71, 2, and 3 to see if I can get even better than this. I tell you what, though, dominates over here, and even against lefties, if you miss that and you miss that, that's where Fergie can get that CGSO against you. Again, one of the Mount Rushmore players of the Carryover League in there every year. All right, Northrup, I think he's got a better future year where he rebounds and hits over 300. His power is up, his average is down. He's up to 24 dingers, but is only hitting 262. Great defense, of course, on base. This could be the card we take, or that 300 card that comes up in either 72 or 73. I think it might even be 73 out of nowhere. Very older Jim Northrup does very well, as all the Tigers do when they get into their mid to late 30s. Northrup, Norm Cash, Al Kaline, they all really played well. So Detroit is one of those rare teams that will continue to play well as they get older. Pat Kelly, a keeper of Kansas City, and we're right at the point where we might want to think of letting him go to the White Sox. This particular card is, the batting average is 235, but everything else looks okay for a leadoff guy with plenty of walks and plenty of speed. No defense. He's a serviceable player, but not the type of leadoff guy you want if you want a serious playoff run, I don't think, if he has to play in the outfield as well. Kansas City has lofty expectations. They've really put together a great team, and they might look at a future year or might want to even think of trading Pat Kelly to the White Sox, where he would eventually play. All right, Al Ferrara is still with the Padres here. He had a nice 69-70. He's down a little bit in all areas, power and average, but it's still a nice card, 277 card. With the walks help a lot. No defense, you know. Good DH kind of player. Everyday player, though, which is always good to have if you're a team that has too many platoons and you just want to have one roster spot. Al Ferrara, full-time DH, possibility. Texas, in a surprise move, kept Ed Stroud. He's not going to have a long career after this, but they liked this card for a bunch of things. The ace stealing. The defense in center field is good. 3-3. Zero arm, though. The power against lefties means he becomes an everyday player. Even in the batting average, you're down to, what, 250, 260? 266. It is the Texas Rangers. Again, they are really on the fringe of the playoff picture here. But at least you got to remember, it's only 1 year for these 70 cards. So use Ed Stroud for one more year until Texas's young players are ready to play. And by young players, I mean the Toby Harris and Mike Hargroves of 1973-74. Jeff Burroughs, guys like that. So we'll push Ed Stroud one more year. Toronto, one of the rare players whose batting average drops by over 100 points, because he hit 340 in 1969 in Carl Taylor. And now he's hitting 249. More representative of his play. But I like the card, I gotta say, I do. As a guy who can play infield and outfield, the walks make the card, the power makes the card. You like him to play only against lefties, but you don't mind him playing against righties either. And because you're Toronto and your talent's stretched, it's nice to have a player you can just renew, even though instead of searching for a player of this caliber in the draft, you might end up with somebody worse. So, bird in the hand for Toronto and Carl Taylor. All right, now we're going to look at some guys who are put on waivers. Don Wirt was a waiver casualty of Colorado, as he loses power against righties and they need power to play there. Has a good glove, though. He actually did this with the Tigers. And interestingly enough, we talked about Detroit had bad defense at third base last year. So Detroit might want to think, if they can't get Aurelio Rodriguez, go after Don Wirt. He's available, at least to be a 2 at third base. If you watched the World Series last year, they had Dick Tracewski as a 2 at shortstop, but he hit 139. Wirt at least hits better than that, 218, and he has power against lefties. All right, Denny Mclean, I think don't worry, he actually rebounds from this in a future year. This is a terrible year, and this card should be ignored. This is his 1970 year. After putting together 55 wins or whatever it was in 2 years, 68 and 69, or 55 wins, whatever it was, he comes crashing down to earth here. And so we skip this year, and he's free to sign anywhere. I believe he moves off of Detroit anyway. So anybody can go get Denny Mclean in one of his future years, but not this one. Russ Gibson was let go by the Phillies. And they have Bob Boone coming up in their system. Gibson actually played for the Giants. Only 60-some at-bats here. You could be a lot of doubles into that sort of thing. Both sides, look at that. 6 and 8 and 69 trips. He did 60 doubles in a full season. Yeah, just a catcher. I mean, you know, at the last round of the draft, you're still looking for a backup catcher. Russ Gibson will be out there. No urgency on drafting him. All right, Dean Jantz was put on waivers by the Giants. His card just gets... He actually had the 4-4 card last year, too. But everything is a little worse this year. More home runs given up, the doubles, the extra base hits, and the walks against lefties. The stats look good, though. 424 for what you see here. This doesn't look good, but it's 424. 18 homers in 155 innings. I don't see it. I'd more be inclined to make him just a long reliever. I mean, if you have playoff aspirations, you don't want him in your rotation. Not in this, it's the competition's too tight in the summer league. All right, we finally get to some free agents who have not been in the league yet, and this would be the first. Floyd Weaver. This is the 4th year we've analyzed Floyd Weaver to see if we can get him into the league. As a reliever, it's tricky here. It's hard to get past the homers and walks against lefties, but you do have the out on 6 and 8 and 9. It makes you think that he had less hits than innings pitched, but a lot of walks and home runs. So it plays to 4.35 ERA and 62 innings, again, just 52 hits, but 7 homer. Again, all these guys who you're seeing, if they get into the league, the team, and they aren't particularly good, the team is saying, you know what, he can only hurt us for 1 year if he bombs. So you're either going to get lucky, he doesn't give up the homers and walks, or he's going to sail through the season unscathed in a short sample size. Regardless, he'll be done after this year anyway. And Jack Delauro, we have a nameless card. One of the players that you would find in the most recent reissue of the set is Strat-O-Matic. Definitely in modern times reissues more cards from this era. So you'll find an actual Jack Delauro card from 70. But here, this is his performance in 33 innings that I just made this card. And again, I don't put nameless cards in the carryover league. That's a wrap for Vancouver. We have one more series left to determine the Winter Baseball Classic champion. That will be between Tucson and Hollywood. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for checking it all out.